Well, we are running a little late today, Josh, but we got
Glad to be here.
We got a little bit to talk about. Glad to be here. I got my work clothes on. Not that I was working or anything, but it is what it is. We're going to talk about a little bit of. Can I say that this early on in YouTube? Let's hold on for about 45 seconds. I think YouTube puts about a 45-second limit on any bad words at the beginning of this thing. So a little spicy, I guess you could call it today. I mean, that's what we're here for outside the Overton.
Can we say she-male?
So I don't know. I don't know how sensitive it is. But yeah, we're going to talk about that. Trump kind of issued or hinted at maybe possibly getting a little bit more numbers on those deportations. I always think about the meme of Matthew McConaughey talking about he's got, those are rookie numbers. We got to pump those numbers up.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's the numbers we've been looking at on these mass deportations lately. So
not too good.
Maybe we can get that going on.
What do you want to hit first?
Maybe we can jump into that.
Okay.
Nothing crazy, but a little video of Tom Homan walking through. I guess this is the Capitol. Josh, I said the video wasn't crazy. I didn't say there wasn't any crazies in the video.
I was gonna say, dude, the when the shot where like they're kind of walking down the hallway and the camera's like kind of pan to the right, basically like every person there was definitely normal people there, but every person was like there was like a freak every 5 feet. There was a dude who had
they were
like
packed in there, man.
Yeah, he had a hairline to like the middle of his head, and then the rest of it was like a mullet. It almost looked like a goth girl's haircut. Did you see that guy?
I didn't notice him, man. There was
Crazy.
so many crazies in there. I mean, you know what I did? What I did notice was all the signs in Spanish. Like, what you expect us to speak Spanish? I mean, this is America.
I was gonna ask, do you know what Santos Masos Almos means? Or
Maybe you should have asked me if I care.
Well,
That would be
there
a
you
good
go.
question. No, I don't. Obviously, I don't. But on that same note, Tom Homan was eating an apple walking through the Capitol. I don't. What's up with this thing and politicians eating apples? Like, because I think about what's his name, Pierre Pauvet, or out of France. It's like he was eating an apple, getting interviewed. Tom Homan's walking through the Capitol eating an apple.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's the more convenient way of doing the smug, like coffee sip. You know what I'm talking about? The smug, taking a drink out of your smug. It's the like, okay, I'm being smug around these people, but they're not going to dip it up in my face or flick the thing at me, or I can drop it. It's a more convenient way of doing that. That's exactly what it is.
I got you. Maybe I need to go get some apples.
That was good, man.
Trump expected to invoke wartime authority to speed up mass deportations effort in coming days. This is CNN. Mm-hmm. I know we've got not the numbers that we want to have on mass deportation. That's kind of why we were talking about Tom Homan just in. Is this going to happen? One is a question. Maybe not. It's kind of irrelevant to the point of we need to clean house, Josh.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought this up because, I know for a while we weren't exactly sure what we were going to talk about today, but this is something I wanted to address, which is immigration. That was Trump's main issue in 2016. Did he even say build a wall at any time during this campaign? I never heard it. And I think that like the numbers have definitely not been good. There was a period of time where they stopped posting the daily numbers, which they said they were going to do because they were so bad. And I'm eager to see where this goes. I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are bad. I will say this. I mean, this is a valid point. A valid point is that there are a significant significantly less amount of border crossings just because of the presence. And a presence, at least, when we were in the military, the presence is half of the battle itself. An intimidation factor, if you will. And that's what Tom Homan and the Trump administration is. I would like to see a lot higher numbers. I mean, the first 2 weeks, I think they published the numbers. They were, steadily rising, 300, 500, up 1,000, couple thousand, maybe 5 one day. I mean, even those numbers are, we need to be hitting tens, hundreds of thousands, not 1, 2, 5, like 100, 3, 4, 5. I mean, these numbers need to be astronomically higher.
We've talked about this before on this show about how Donald Trump has an ego problem. It's something we love about him, but it's also his greatest asset and his greatest weakness, which is he loves good press. He hates bad press. And the sad fact is, to him, that in order to get the amount of illegals that have come in the last 4 years, let alone since the 60s, is going to take kicking out abuela, kicking out people that have been here 20 years, that own property, that haven't committed crimes, people that are contributors to society. It's going to take mass deportations of more than just violent criminals to get them out of here. And it's going to look bad on TV. It is going to look bad seeing grandma and little babies in handcuffs, but that is what has to happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, everybody has to go. Every non-citizen, and then if we're going to revert birthright citizenship of anchor babies, I'm tired of all these dreamers. We went through the entire Obama administration and the Biden or Obama's third term administration talking about these dreamers and giving them citizenship. It's dude, nobody wants that. Send them back. They're not our problem. We need to make them not our problem, because right now they are. As long as they remain in the United States, they're our problem. I mean, if you send them to jail, they're still our problem.
Right.
They need to be not our problem. And I couldn't care less where they are not our problem at.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
So, yeah, on this Trump thing, good to go. We need more of it. Whatever this is, we need more of it.
I want to say, though, I'm concerned how much of this is accurate, though. And by accurate, I'm not talking about because it's a CNN article. Obviously, they're inflating it to be worse than it will actually be. But that's kind of my problem, is I want it to be as bad as they say it's going to be. I want it to be
exactly right.
Military dictatorship.
If we were the people, if we were as bad as they thought we were, we would be in a much better place.
100%. Like
I wish Trump was the Trump
power
that they thought he was.
I know,
then
dude.
We could get behind it.
Yes, exactly. I want him to do things that are considered illegal, unconstitutional, to get what we want done. And yeah, it's a double standard by, maybe it's not, because I don't really care about the Constitution as much as I care about the nation. So for us to have to do things unconstitutional to win, I think that's totally fine. I think that's necessary. And I know it's not the main point we want to get to today, but you heard about the, I forget his name. He's got some strange foreign name, but the guy from Colombia who's basically been arrested. He's in, he organized.
Oh, the protest guy?
Yeah. Oh, he organized Hamas protest. Yeah. Now, I know where you and I stand on that issue, but here's my thing. What they are doing to him, I don't see a problem with. He's a green card, his wife's a citizen, and they're basically kicking him out of the country.
Absolutely.
I'm not against that.
I'm not against it in principle at all, whether it's green card or not.
I'm against why they're doing it, the reasons behind it.
It's the same thing that we argue against, the people behind it matter. The reason behind it matters more than the thing itself.
His name's like Mahum or something. I'll just say Mahum. What they're doing to him is not right. I want them to do what they're doing to Mahum, whatever his name is, to thousands of people. That's what I want to happen. I'm totally fine with it. Salute. Then we don't need to get too much further into it.
We can send this next one too. How about that? This next piece is talking about Sarah McBride, I think he calls himself. is a tranny. That's the word I was going to say earlier that I didn't want YouTube to pull. They probably still will. You know, a dude thinks he's a chick, runs for Senate, wins, and now everybody has to play this game of my delusion is now your delusion.
Recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr.
I'm
Chairman,
sorry.
could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply.
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman? Would you repeat what you just said when you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America? Please.
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency? I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this
You
hearing.
will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
Josh, imagine being the person that is white knighting a tranny. That's crazy.
Dude, that was a shot. And you know what's so funny? Maybe there's something to this transgenderism stuff, because I didn't catch this the first time I watched the video. When the chairman said Mr. Sarah McBride or whatever, the tranny rebutted with, "Thank you, Madam Chairman," like as a snide little passive aggressive comment. And it was actually a non-transgender man that like spoke up and made an argument about it. So maybe there's actually something to this, but in all genuineness,
I didn't catch that either. So
yeah,
he said he misgendered also.
Yeah, he did.
If it's such an evil, if it's such a sin,
right? I didn't catch it the first time. He
Well,
was
you're
being
going
snide.
too.
But yeah, that was
these people are so arrogant.
And the thing is it's like, do you remember back when this started to happen? People on our side were saying it was a trend, and they were like, no, this is a lifestyle thing. The trend has died out within the Democratic Party. I know this video almost seems to contradict what I said, but like no one's even talking about the transgenders anymore, which I actually see as a problem. I think it does need to be addressed, but this sort of like grandstanding, this like every Democrat wants to have their "I have a dream" speech, their like grandstanding moment, and like no wonder nothing gets done with all this. There's words I want to say that I definitely can't, but we'll just stick with grandstanding for now, in a gay way.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, this entire meeting was adjourned simply because somebody got called the wrong name or something, or didn't like the name that they were called, which was accurate. Mm-hmm. The government needs to address this, or at least the Senate and the House need to address this. Like, you are going to be called the thing that you are. I mean, the entire country shouldn't have to kowtow to your delusion. And so, these people like to say we live rent-free in their minds. No, you force your delusion on us. We're just trying to get away from it.
I will not take a lecture on decorum from a party that incited an insurrection. I appear to live rent-free in the minds of some of my Republican colleagues. I wish that they would spend even a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, thinking about how to lower the costs for American families. I wish they would spend a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, figuring out how to make government actually work better, rather than making it work worse in order to prove that government can't work. They are obsessed with culture war issues. The Republican Party is obsessed with culture war issues. It is weird and it is bizarre. And the American people deserve serious legislators, serious elected officials who are focused on bringing people together to deliver real results for the American people, not to play games and not to engage in schoolyard taunts.
We are not consumed by you. We are trying to escape your delusion that you are forcing on us. It is that simple. Josh, why should we be forced to live in their delusion? We are trying to live in reality and not to escape it. They are living in this delusion, trying to escape reality and dragging us with them.
Well, and like obviously, you know, we're not advocating for this, but to us, this
I don't know
is
what
like
you're about to say. I don't know what you're about to say. So don't put words in my mouth. What were we talking about?
The point is like what they're saying, what this guy is saying is that, oh, you know, like you got like he's putting on this like facade, shoving it at our faces, and then like making it like, oh my gosh, like why do you care so much? Because this is not a non-issue. This would be like if I was walking around wearing other people's skin that I had made into like clothes, you know, if I were wearing like John Wayne Gacy gloves, and then they'd be like, oh my gosh, you're wearing human skin. And then I say, whoa, dude, what are you so obsessed with what I wear? This is just my personal choice. That's what it's like to us. This is offensive. Like, I mean, that guy, you know, I've definitely seen worse ones, but it's clearly a man. It's offensive to the eyes. It's hard to look at, and it's shoving it in our faces. And then when we go, ugh, they act like, well, it's no big deal, man. Like, why do you care so much? Personally, I would. The funny thing is that the Republican Party, they see that and they say, I know, man, we need to get away from these issues and focus on the things that matter, like the GDP. I wish the Republican Party was consumed by cultural issues.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to get into. He was talking about the Republican Party is consumed by the culture war. A portion of the Republican Party is consumed by the culture war. A portion of the Republican Party is consumed by the GDP and this economy. And so when you have trannies out there running things or literally blocking things from being run, as we see with that meeting, it causes chaos in the economic system of our nation. And so the only way to solve the economic system, which is the economic system being a symptom of societal things, the society must run efficiently for the economy to run efficiently. And so if you have, I was listening to the radio this morning, we have boomers talking about all this thing of, oh, the economy, we need to fix the economy. It doesn't matter when you have when you have citizens that are what's the word I'm looking for, Josh? Welfare, not welfare, but productive. You have not only are they non-productive, but they're counterproductive to the nation as a whole, and so that is reflected in the economic system that we have. These people, all of them, trannies all the way down to gays, to those that are morally reprehensible, degenerates, they are the problem. The economy is the consequence of that. The economy is a symptom of the issue.
Right. And you know, it's a perfect example of this is, you know, you were in the Marines. I actually had a friend who was in the Marines. He joined in around the time, we talked about this before, around the time you were leaving, he was getting in. And he was telling me about like how all of any surgery they have that they get in the field of duty is covered by the United States. And they also get 2 elective surgeries per year. And I remember even back when the transgenderism was high in everyone's minds during Trump's first term, and he was like, get him out of the military. I was asking myself, how many of these people are in the military? A lot of them.
A lot.
Because those surgeries are expensive.
Yes.
Yes, that is why, and that's why they do it.
I do think Pete Hegseth has kind of reversed a lot of that since he's gone in. So hopefully it goes away. You know, the military is not a place for experiments, specifically with experiments of even all the way down to co-ed. Is co-ed the right word? Co-ed companies, platoons, battalions. They ran studies in the battalion beside ours. They had those 3 companies. One was all male, one was all female, and the other one was mixed. And they ran these continuous experiments to try and see which would be more effective. I mean, the obvious conclusion was what the actual conclusion was that the male was much more efficient than either of the other ones. But what they did find out was the co-ed was almost it wasn't less efficient than the all-female was, but it did have come with its own problems, which was, this is a common thing when you get in the military, is women will intentionally get pregnant prior to deployment.
Really?
Yes. And so what it caused was they lost like half of their entire battalion due to pregnancy. And so these are consequences. Not only is it, you're battling this thing of, oh, women are just as strong as men. We can do this. We can do this. Now you have an extra layer of emotional and societal things, not just a physical thing, a mental, emotional, societal issues that crop up, especially, I mean, when you have people like this that are whatever. And I will give Nancy Mace her credit. She has fought against this transgenderism at this point. Take that for what you will. I'll give her her flowers here. She rails about
Keep it in
it.
mind, Nancy Mace, because this is probably the last time you'll get them from Zeb. But I do actually want to agree with you on that, where I think it's actually a little bit, what I was saying earlier about how transgenderism has basically fallen out of the conversation. I actually think that is a bad thing, because for it to be so mainstream, it's because it was so new and so many people adopted it. But now that people aren't talking about it anymore, are they not talking about it because the problem was solved or because people just stopped caring? I think it's the latter. I think we need to address these issues and need to keep them on. Now, should they be the focal point? Like, should that issue specifically be the focal point? No, but I definitely think, as we said earlier, managing these social issues first will... everything that the economy's downstream from that, it will correct itself.
I don't know if I agree with you entirely. I think this war is already won. It's just a matter of cleaning up. And so we need to move on from this and act as if we've already won. And so if we continue to bring up these conversations again and again and again, it brings life to whatever is left of these trannies.
I think
The McBride
I get what you're saying.
Is a consequence of time where we have won since the process of the election that has happened. And so it's going to be a time thing going forward, not necessarily
right. If we had, if Donald Trump was going full, what CNN doesn't want, what we do want, I think the next logical step would be to reopen the mental institutions and then put Sam McBride.
Well, Reagan,
in them.
we would never contradict Reagan, and he defunded all of that. Because society bad, economy good.
We need a small government.
I mean, you look at that. Reagan defunded all the mental institutions because whatever his because was is kind of irrelevant. But then he championed
because of money.
GDP and economy. It's like you crashed society for a short-term gain. I mean, this is what these people are arguing for. How about let's provide a nation for our children to grow up in and build on top of, instead of print money. Like, they think money fixes everything, and it doesn't. They think everybody is an economic cog in the machine.
Right. And it's to answer your question, though, the reason Reagan got rid of the mental institutions is because he thought that was government overreach, because he was afraid of big government. And he thought that was a step too far, without considering the consequences of, like, why do we have mental institutions? Is there fraud?
Because we have mentals.
Exactly. And then what
They
happens
need to be
when
in
you get rid of them?
institutions.
Yeah. Reagan probably, whether he knew it or not, he probably thought there was no such thing as, like these mental cases, but they exist. And there's a reason we had mental institutions, which was to keep them out of society. When you get rid of them, where do they go? They don't just run off in the woods.
Well,
They go to the big cities and they sleep in subway stations.
and they go sit on the corner and beg for money, dude. I'm anti-homeless too. No, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go take a park bench and
Put spikes on it.
Don't put it past me. No, I mean, I wouldn't do that. I would just, I think the city should homelessness. The city should fund buses to. We live in a city that's not necessarily homeless friendly, but I don't think they are anti-homeless. They exist here, like they exist a lot of places.
cities are
What would you-
homeless hives. That's where
What
they
would
go.
you say about funding a bus that takes them to cities that are homeless friendly? Like,
Now,
if we had a city bus that just kind of drove around, lured them in with a little bush light, and then
And
drove
Slim
them,
Jims.
and then drove them to Georgetown and dropped them off.
It's like E.T. You lure them in with Slim Jims and Reese's Pieces and get them on the bus.
I feel like it's that. I feel like it's that easy, man.
I do
Instead
actually.
of candy, it's alcohol.
As funny as that is, I actually don't agree with that. I think, what was his name? Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. I think shipping the illegals deeper into the country is stupid. I think that actually makes the problem worse. It's like, oh, haha, you send them to Martha's Vineyard and then Barack Obama, kicks him out. Oh, haha, that's a great headline 2 years ago. But where are they now? They're somewhere else up in upstate New York, probably going to the DMV and then voting in elections. It's still,
again,
it doesn't solve the problem. It makes it worse.
Homelessness is a symptom of the problem. What's the
Yes.
problem, Josh? Society is not structured soundly. I mean,
Right.
That's why
a
you
better way
have
to put
homelessness.
it.
Homelessness is a symptom of a poor economy, and the economy is a symptom of a poor society.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we have. If you want to fix the economy, not temporarily in the next couple of years, you have to fix society. And society is, we got a long way to go, Josh. I mean, the entire system has to crumble before we can rebuild society. Mm-hmm. Well, that's all I got for today. But I mean, what do you want to talk about? Massey, we got to talk about Massey tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about Massey. I don't want to get into that today since we're addressing it tomorrow. But to go off something you said that it just sparked something in me. A coworker of mine, his father started a company and he sold his shares to do other things, and his brother now runs it. And he was telling me this morning about how, they were talking about the tariffs with Canada and Mexico and whatnot. And he was talking about, because they trade steel. So Canada, they deal with Canada. And they were talking about how they were getting emails this morning and, or not this morning, but like immediately when the tariff talks were happening, they were getting emails from Canada. And they were basically saying that, I think it was I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to talk about, but an 8% increase in there was going to be an 8% cut in their bottom line. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the point is this coworker's family member said they're with it and they're willing to eat the cost because we need to get manufacturing back to America. We need to get these jobs back in America, and we need to get the people in America working again. Which is great. But the problem is so many of our giant, almost oligarchical tech companies aren't run by people that feel this way. They're not run by people that have their roots in this land, in this nation. They're run by people that were born in other countries, that went to school here, went back to those countries, came back here, started a company, and they came to this country to start a company because it's one of the biggest markets on the planet, not because they care about our culture and our nation. And that's something we have to realize too, is a big part of the problem with all these aliens in our country isn't the fact that they're poor and they steal the lowest jobs on the rung. It's also because they are manipulating our highest institutions as well. It's also a huge problem with the true capitalistic mindset. We've gotten to a point, ironically enough, where the pendulum has swung too far away from communism into basically hyper-capitalism. They call it crony capitalism, but it's capitalism. It's a problem, is the point.
It's a logical conclusion of capitalism.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe I was listening to the radio the other day, same coworker. They were talking about how they were importing, if the tariffs are at 25%, the company in Canada was going to eat 12.5% of it. They'll just eat that and just put the other 12.5% on the Americans. So these companies in Canada that are getting tariff or Mexico or wherever need America. They need that. Not they don't want America. They need America. They can't sustain themselves outside of American markets because the American market is the consumer market. Sorry. Whoa. I had something hit my nose. Not Coke though.
I'll take your word for it this time.
I don't have the energy today, man. I might have to go get another Celsius. Shout out Celsius sponsorship whenever you feel like it.
I'll take one too.
Betsy of Florence. That would never happen. Well, don't say never. But yeah, I mean that's kind of what we're talking about is we import all of these people that aren't Americans, give them jobs to create GDP, and then it destroys what is America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's
well, and these people that advocate for America as an idea, what is the idea? I know you say things like they adhere to the Constitution or whatever. Well, not really. I mean, we talked about that yesterday. If they adhered to the Constitution, they would recognize that they aren't American. So your argument for them being American is only that they make America money.
right.
Is that what an American is? A productive member of society? Because then we can start cutting out a lot of people, Josh.
Yeah.
These people that
you're
advocate
right.
for economy only and GDP first, if they're advocating that of what is an American is a productive member of society, which largely they are because they want they want to decrease the debt, they want to increase GDP, they want to increase the productivity of America because that's what winning looks like to them. Well, let's start calling people that aren't productive non-Americans.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I think you're going to
See,
cut
that
out,
sounds
you're, but
logically-
you're going to
that's
cut out a lot of
logically sound
people,
to me.
Zeb. But Zeb, what
A
about
lot
the
of
people?
people. A lot of people.
Hopefully not radio show people.
But yeah.
Do we? I think we kind of summed up that point. We'll have to do a more in-depth discussion one day about, and I'd like to include Rodney. Obviously, we're not going to do it tomorrow, but on like the failings of capitalism, because I think that is a huge thing that conservatives en masse need to get over. I mean, I'm not a communist, but I'm not a hardcore capitalist either.
Well, these free trade guys, and I had a little bit of a Twitter spat and got blocked after I did, was a professor of history tweeted out something to the effect of the Carolinas were the most free trade states in the union, and we ought to be. I'm not for Trump's tariffs. Dude, NAFTA destroyed our entire economies. The furniture economy, the textile, the apparel economy. I mean, NAFTA, free trade, specifically free trade itself, NAFTA destroyed economies. It destroyed families. Mm-hmm. And you can argue that car manufacturers came in or whatever. You can't argue that they wouldn't have come in anyway. Free trade destroyed American families, and in that same breath, these people will say, oh, it brought in foreign manufacturing. No, you destroyed families to what? Bring in foreign goods? See, this is the issue. These same people that argue for free trade will, in the same breath, argue against NAFTA. I bet your coworker would argue against NAFTA, and in the same breath, say that he is a full capitalist. See, these people are they're dissonant. They have to hold free trade good, NAFTA bad. Mm-hmm. But NAFTA is free trade.
No, yeah, exactly.
And it destroyed economies. So do you not care about Carolinians?
No, you're right. And this is something this is something that
this
is
stuff
understood.
Is not hard, bro.
Right. And a big thing that like a lot of people that God love them, but it is a lot of the boomers that can't get past the rhetoric of the Soviet era.
I'll tell you, I watched a video with Stephen Wolf. I sent it to you. I don't know if you watched it, but he was kind of breaking down liberalism, or at least a Christianity liberalism, where these people, evangelicals specifically, and more in the realm of boomers, they are surrounded by these people that agree with them, and so they have this false sense of confidence that they are right because they are a plurality. And this is the same issue that we have with the boomers. They are surrounded by neocons that give them a false confidence of being correct when they have never been peppered with anything outside of their own circle of Reaganism. These people have been in the circle of Reaganism and since the 60s. I mean, this is the post-war consensus. They've never had to deal with any ideas outside of what is Reaganism. They are all Reaganites at their core. And so to contradict that would be to step outside of their bubble, which they would never do. And I do commend Rodney for doing that. I think he's done that since, coming on here, but I will be demonized and I will be attempted to be canceled, and everybody around me will be called to disassociate with me simply because I issue, maybe you're wrong. What arrogance is that to cancel someone for bringing up a possibility that maybe you in your circle should be presented with a different idea?
It's also
don't comment on that, Josh.
Try not to.
But it is frustrating. I mean, these people, they'll rail against Obama. They'll rail against, even Clinton. I mean, I would say Clinton is almost better for the country than these Reaganites are.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like, I look at some of the stuff Clinton was into, other than NAFTA, obviously, and I'm like, what was a big problem here? Yeah, he's a social liberal, and we definitely need people who genuinely care, who aren't fake politicians. But some of the stuff he did, it's like, I mean, good Lord,
that is American.
His deportation numbers are better than Trump's.
Yeah, I mean, Clinton, for everything he's worth, I mean, he at least cared about America enough to try and do something. I mean, you can argue that,
or he was willing to fake it enough that it came across that way.
That's fine.
Which
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
if that's what it takes.
Yeah, if it's a genuine person over a fake person, I would prefer the genuine person. But even if the fake person faking it is producing results, I'll take it, man. I'll take it.
Yeah, I would take the results every day of the week.
100%, which we're not getting. We are not getting.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry to say it, but it's what it is. Oh, USAID's gone. Yeah, woohoo! Like, what was that? Like a 0.1% of the deficit? Maybe like what, 5-10% at best?
Yeah, USAID is nothing. I will back the Doge and gutting USAID is good for the economy. Yes.
Yes.
It's kind of irrelevant. I mean, it's like 0.002% of, our debt or whatever. That's kind of beside the point. To me, that is more a societal restructuring than anything, because USAID was funding our enemies. They were funding the enemies of America that wanted to destroy what is America. Not, I call for destroying the system. I call for, rewriting the Constitution. But these people wanted to destroy America as a soul.
Oh, yeah. Genuine hatred for the nation. And I don't mean the country, I mean the nation.
That's who was being funded through USAID. So, if you want to, that's something I could ride beside you, Mr. Economist. I can ride beside you, Mr. Economist and GDP firster, on defunding USAID and all the NGOs that go with it, because it restructures who is in power, because it controls the flow of money. And if USAID is funding our enemies, the enemies of America, then I'm fine with defunding USAID and the enemies of America. I mean, it's that simple. It's one and the same. And so what you'll have is, when you defund these NGOs that hate America, it'll restructure society in a way that it can blossom and flourish. And so you'll have better economies on the back end, but because of good society, more so than you will simply decrease in debt.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to say this before, because I think we're about to wrap up here, but I think my concern with getting rid of USAID, because again, I'm for Doge. I'm for what they're doing.
I think they're cutting the DOE in half too.
I hope so. And I'm sure they're going to continue to do more. I'm not saying that they haven't made meaningful change, but the thing is it systematic change? Because what happens if Trump does something and there's what do you call it? Like a hunger, there's a desire, basically a pendulum swing with a nation that was with Trump after the Joe Biden years. Now they want a more moderate Democrat. And then what happens if they start to basically reinstitute, maybe not in name, but in practice, USAID again?
Well, this is the argument against term limits.
Exactly, which is why I agree with you.
Term limits
tear it all down.
Are an issue in themselves. People calling for term limits don't understand that term limits cause more issues than they would theoretically solve.
Yeah.
This in that no progress is ever made. We've been stuck since the divide of America. Call it the 40s, 50s, 60s, somewhere in between there. There's this divide in America of a societal divide that we cannot live in the same nation because we don't agree what the nation is. And this is a societal divide that we will, one of these sides has to win out. One is going a nationalistic way. We talked about yesterday, the snowball of the nationalism discussion is starting to roll. Mm-hmm. And the other one is going the GDP economy way, the globalist way. I mean, these are mutually exclusive. They cannot exist together. On a rebuild, they can't exist together in destruction, just as, we talked about USAID. They cannot exist together on a rebuild. And so that is, I've talked about the restructuring of the political left, or the DNC specifically, because the infrastructure is needed for restructuring. I mean, that's where we're going. Are these two sides, can they coexist together in the same nation when they don't agree on what a nation is?
Yeah.
It's like we talked again yesterday, we talked about Matt Walsh. What is an American? You're going to have to define what is an American. And baked into the question of what is an American is, what does winning look like? Does winning look like being debt-free? I don't think anybody would argue against a fiscal conservative policy. Everybody is fiscally conservative. Like, nobody's going to argue, yeah, let's just build debt because we can sustain it. No, nobody argues that. Nobody argues that.
Yeah.
And even the people that argue against it, all of the people that argue against it will still sign a CR bill that puts us more in debt.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is a messy issue that we have today. Imagine standing on principles in the face of Donald Trump saying he's going to primary you because you don't want to add more debt to America. Like, this is insane because you want a little bit of a build the wall spending inside of this CR bill. It's crazy to me.
Nuts.
Josh, anything before we peace out of here today?
No, I think we covered a lot of ground, and then the discussion gave us a lot of ideas for future videos that we need to kind of hone in on, topics we need to hone in on, rather than just doing like a news thing. I think it would benefit, because you got we're working on some projects on the side, and I know Zeb, you're going to be doing some educational videos. I want to be doing some
filming tomorrow morning with. I got a sheet over there, but
Joey Aniello.
Is he tenured? I know he's a retired professor, but he's going to come in here. We're going to do some. He's more in the leadership realm, but I would say that he is on board with a historical understanding of what is the post-war consensus, and hopefully we can kind of tackle that. 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Kind of talking about where we were as a country. I don't like this shot, Josh.
Well, because like when I look at you, I'm looking the opposite way. So yeah. That's why I was laughing a second ago.
There you go, Josh.
This way, so it looks
talk to.
There we go.
Talk to Mitch over here.
Hey, Mitch McConnell, how you doing?
What about this shot? Yeah, anyway, I'm messing. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. And we got Rodney coming in tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Boost our viewership. Maybe we can get a little bit of a discussion because we always disagree on something. I'm excited.
Well, thank y'all for coming today. Check Josh's YouTube out if you haven't. Josh Vandernord. And both of our Twitters at mine is obviously Zeb Boykin, same as our YouTube. So,
And mine is Joshua Vandernord.
and we'll catch you.
Vandernord.
We'll catch you tomorrow. Later.